Hello everyone, welcome to City Skylines City Unmodded Gameplay episode 18. We created this interchange in the previous episode, and as you know, I've intentionally built this highway connector to be elevated, so I'm going to transform it into something interesting, and that will be the highlight of this episode. The second thing we'll do is start disconnecting some parts of this interchange in order to start redirecting the traffic onto our main interchange. And other than that, we also want to beautify this pedestrian bridge we created in the previous episode. So we have a good plan, but before we start with any of these things, I want to add one very important thing. We've been using this connection for the past two episodes, but I did not realize that I can easily add one more connection here that looks like this, which our Sims can use to walk from the station here to the industrial zone here. Previously, they used to walk all the way here around this road and then get into this, but now it's just a really easy, quick connection for them. The worst part about this really is I've been working around this area for the last two episodes without really realizing that this is a better connection for them. And the even worse part is both of those episodes were about improving connections. Anyway, let's move on. I'm actually now thinking we can probably get done with this disconnection part first. Now, instead of demolishing such a beautiful interchange, I'm just going to reverse the direction of some of these ramps. So if we have to connect them again in the future, we can easily do that. And the reason to do it sooner than later is to give the vehicles enough time to adjust to this change and to populate the other interchange. Also, I just realized that I never really removed that monorail road, so let me do that right away before it gets any more stupid than this, and I think that looks good. Alright, I changed my mind again. Let's get done with the beautification part of this one really quickly next. Alright, we have completed the beautification part of this up to a certain extent. We'll keep doing that as we get more inspiration in the future, but for now this is good. I've also added a couple of plazas on this, and I'm so glad this is the one thing I can add on this without really thinking about making a dedicated walkable district.
6.5 hours later.
Oh, I was so wrong about this. So I have both of these plazas. This one is doing fine. It doesn't have any issues, at least none so far, but this one is having a garbage issue. And I think that's because it's quite farther away from the road as compared to the other plaza. I should have guessed this because like I mentioned in the previous episode, these promenades are used by emergency vehicles, but not by service vehicles. And I think it will be fixed if you bring it closer to the road. So I'm going to try that right now. And I think this would be good. Let's see if this works. It might take a while. Oh, no, it actually got fixed right away. Alright, I guess that works. It's certainly not ideal, but I guess we'll have to live with this. Alright, it's been a while. Let's go back to this interchange and see how this is affected by the closure of that one. So the overall flow we are getting is 90%, and this interchange itself is not too bad, but we have some problem over here. These ramps are going to be a headache in the future, but obviously this is a temporary solution, so I'm not too worried about it. I'll change one thing over here though. Having two exit lanes might be a little bit easier for the traffic, and I think this works for now until we actually redesign this entire interchange. Alright, 4.5 minutes in, now let's talk about the highlight of this video. So I made this elevated because I want to make something interesting here, and that's going to be a park. I mainly wanted to see what can we do with something new. We've mostly had highways so far which have been either at grade or sunken, so this would be a different kind of way to utilize the space around it and a different kind of feature. And while we do this, I also want to reconnect a connection that we had previously. I'll potentially have to go around the interchange maybe like so. So I'll get started with this and see you guys in a a few minutes. Alright, so I think we are at a good stage right now. We have extended Spruce Grounds up till this area, which was the park that we originally had here. And now we have extended it all the way up there. And we have a little extension over there with some interesting plazas and shops. While I really like this, the thing I absolutely hate about this is how disconnected plazas and promenades are from our regular parks. For instance, I can't add an entrance to a park from a promenade. I'll have to make that from a street. There is also this example where we have this promenade, and I wanted to make something interesting at the entrance of this. So I've added this plaza, and then I have this cafe which is from parks, and because these two are disconnected, I have to add a separate entrance for that over here. There are a few other examples like this, but at this point we are just making the best out of what we have. Even then, I really like these DLCs separately. I just wish they talked to each other a little bit better. Anyway, so I think we are at a good stage with this park for now. I'll keep adding more trees and props and more green stuff to make it more beautiful, but I think we are good for now. Also, I did something new over here. I wanted to make a good use of this triangular space we had here, so I zoned a couple of small offices and shops. This can be an interesting transition space between the residential area as well as the main avenue and the park. But I'm not so sure about the aesthetic of this. It looks a little bit weird. It looks like there is like just a series of buildings, and that's not very appealing, to be honest. But I don't know. I might keep it for now. Maybe I'll try to think of something else in the future. But let me know in the comments what you think about it. Do you like it? Do you not like it? Do you have any other ideas? Would love to get your feedback on this. Now, lastly, going back on this traffic issue, the flow we have is still 90%, and we still have the same kind of situation here. Maybe a little bit higher traffic on these interchanges, but certainly not as much as I expected, which is actually quite surprising considering this is the only entrance into the city. Or is it? Well, it turns out that we had a lot more connections into the city, which I completely ignored. Exactly what happens when you're too focused on one thing and you don't pay attention to anything else. But yeah, so with that, let me show you what the traffic situation is. Basically right now, most of the vehicles are using this side of the city with this circle especially, which is already very populated with our industrial vehicles. And when we compare this with this side of the city, very few vehicles are actually using this, which is a big problem. So we'll need to find a solution for that, but that is something we'll do in the next episode. If you enjoyed this one, please leave a like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one.